Hey everyone, Renan here, Expedition Studios Adorama ambassador. Just wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about the Mavic 3 drone, the Mavic 3 Cine in this case, which we produced content for as part of the launch video, and I've had a chance to really battle test it in some harsh environments and trips since it came out. I've had a lot of friends ask me, is it worth upgrading to the Mavic 3? And I know that there's so many reviews online going into the super technical, nitty-gritty features of the drone, just pixel by pixel, but I thought it would be useful for me just to give my real-world experience, since we tend to push these tools harder than most in a lot of extreme environments. We had the early version, and since then the firmware's been updated a number of times, and there's been a lot of the higher end features like hyperlapse unlocked that we use quite a bit. We did what we normally do, is we call our monkey friends in the desert in Utah. It's a pretty wild band of adventurous men and women who have dedicated their lives to understanding the landscape around Moab, Utah, and base jumping and slacklining and highlining between these really complicated towers. So we took the Mavic 3 to shoot one of the most iconic gaps within the Fisher Towers. The Fisher Towers is this complicated group of crumbling mud towers that are up to 600 feet tall. And it's a really challenging place to fly your drone because it's really easy to lose signal, and oftentimes you can't fly from the base and you have to climb the tower itself to get the best signal, to get the best shots. So especially in shooting with the Mavic 3, for me it's huge that it remains small enough that I can climb a tower and not have to operate from the ground super far away. I can be right in there with the action. Not only is it lightweight, but I can now shoot some of the more professional codecs and higher bit rates, the ProRes. I'll be honest, like when it first came out, it was hard for us to tell a huge difference, but now that the firmware is updated, we're getting that higher dynamic range, that higher quality for bigger productions. We've used the Mavic 3 since on a lot of bigger commercial shoots, and it's totally held up and been used in broadcast commercials. So I think that's a really big selling point if you're trying to up your game and use your skills in bigger and bigger productions, or just want your footage to be a little bit more future-proof. The overall feature that I think is the reason why I'll never go back to the Mavic 2 is basically the battery life. You get almost 45-minute flight times, which is amazing. The more time you're in the air, the more time you have to look around at the landscape, to explore, to scout different shots and angles. And then when it's time to shoot, you don't have to come back and land and change battery. You're already in the air, ready to capture what's happening. One of my favorite things to do is hyperlapse, aerial time lapse, since I came from a landscape painting background. And it just enables you to capture the earth in a way that's never been captured before. It's such a smart system. I've noticed a few little things in the app that used to not be there before with the Mavic 2. You can still track your waypoints. So you can have the same GPS waypoints and you can fly the same hyperlapse in different seasons and then stitch those together and have a seasonal hyperlapse cross-dissolving between the seasons. Having that extended battery life, it just makes everything safer and more fun. With all of these tools, you're just trying not to miss moments. You never know when your talent or nature is going to provide an irreplaceable magic moment, and if you're not in the air with battery life to spare, you're not going to get it. On most flights, I'm going the maximum distance and losing signal, so it's really awesome that there's even smarter features for return to home and things that are going to allow you not to litter your drone in a magical environment, but then also to protect your investment. I will say that I was a little annoyed at first because you can only record to the internal SSD if you're going to be shooting ProRes on the Mavic 3 Cine, and normally we change our cards after every shoot, but since we've used it a lot, I just tend to fly a tiny bit smarter, and then we're dumping it all at the same time from an SSD, which is way faster than an SD card and micro SDs that we used to use. I don't want this to get too long, but I'll also talk about the sun flares, because as a cinematographer, I think that's what I always look for in any glass on any camera, and that is such a huge improvement. Now we've got a micro 4/3 camera in this tiny drone, and when you point it into the sun, it's not this ugly blot. Now you get these incredibly pleasing sun flares with circular orbs around the sun, or the blades. You can see the blades of the aperture of the camera creating these beautiful sun stars, and that's crucial for video. It's crucial for photos, and yeah, I just really loved playing with that over the course of the shoot. So yeah, those are the things that I noticed that I really love about the Mavic 3, Mavic 3 Cine that make it really worth it for me. We're going to be taking it around the world this year on some National Geographic shows, Disney Plus productions, and it's just a lucky time to be alive, to be able to use these tools to show the world in perspectives that we never thought were possible.